Another Monday has arrived, another brand new week is upon us, but that brings with it another brand new episode of Hornets Daily as well. Welcome in to your one-stop shop for all things Charlotte Hornets. As always, we're presented by the good people over at FanArc, and I'm your host, Vance Ballard, but you already know you can call me VB. I want to thank everybody for joining along with us today, watching out there. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, leave a like and a comment down in the comment section. You know how much we enjoy watching you guys interact down there, learning a little bit about what you think about what's going on in the show, and continuing to build and grow this Hornets Daily family here on the program. Catching up from the weekend, not a whole lot going on. Again, we're still in the end of August. A bit of a slow period in the NBA, but there are a few things buzzing around in the Queen City, and we'll talk all about those here today on the program. We know last week was a very rankings-heavy show, and we're going to start the day off kind of in the same realm here as Brandon Miller has been disrespected in a ranking of the best small forwards in the league. We'll go over that today. The Hornets face some big challenges coming into the 25-26 season, despite all the optimism and hope coming from the offseason. We'll talk about what Sports Illustrated thinks are the two biggest challenges the Hornets face going into the 25-26 season. One expert, one well-known NBA insider, NBA expert, David Aldridge, has some very high praise for the Hornets and what they did this offseason. I'll discuss that with you today as well. And then we'll talk about the impact Grant Williams could have on this roster when he does finally make his return to the Charlotte Hornets. We'll go over what impact that could have on the rest of the team to wrap the show up today as well. You know I don't like to beat around the bush. We dive head first into things here on Hornets Daily, and that's exactly what we're going to do today as well. Now, I mentioned we know that last week was a rankings-heavy show. It felt like every show of the day had some sort of ranking mentioned in it, but we also know that's a very popular thing to do. It's an easy way to get some views, to get some clicks, and I have found another one over the weekend. This one might be the most egregious, crazy, just flat-out wrong ranking that we have seen or talked about all summer. Not my favorite, but we'll discuss it today on the show. Frank Urbina of Hoops Hype ranked the top 26 small forwards in the NBA. And again, egregiously, he has Brandon Miller landing at number 21 out of 26 on that list, which I find to just not be true, if I'm being honest with you. In my opinion, I just don't think I think that's blatantly incorrect. Brandon Miller is most certainly not the 21st best small forward in the league. There's not 20 guys better than him at that position, in my opinion. But that's just me. We do know that Miller is very young. He's got some health issues, but Urbina even went as far as to rank him behind Cooper Flagg. And I'm not knocking Cooper Flagg. I think he could be very good in the NBA, but he has not played a single real NBA minute yet. He's been on the court in Summer League, but is yet to dribble a basketball in a regular season NBA game. And we know Brandon Miller has about a year and a half because of the injury, but he's got some time under his belt. We know Miller at least has NBA experience. That's where I think part of the craziness from Urbina and his rankings come in there. There's just no reason to have a guy who has yet to play a minute in the NBA ranked above one of the better players on the Hornets team and someone who has shown the potential to be a real star in this NBA. Also ahead of Brandon Miller, now these are arguable a little bit more, I guess, if you want to put it that way, but I still think there is some contention here, some reasons that there's some reasoning to say Brandon Miller could be above all of these next few guys, the likes of Trey Murphy, Norman Powell, Jalen Johnson, and Denny Avdia. Now, Trey Murphy, very, very good basketball player, very good at the small forward position. He's probably one of the ones that if you had to put someone over Brandon Miller, it would be him in that regard. But Norman Powell, Jalen Johnson, Denny Avdia, they're just not better than Brandon Miller, in my opinion. I think he's got what it takes. He's shown flashes of proving that he's better than them, proving that his NBA career is going to amount to a little bit more than those guys. Again, not to knock any of them, but I just think Brandon Miller is better at basketball than they are, if I'm being honest with you. Brandon Miller, just 22 years old. He's proven that he can score 20 points per game and do it efficiently in the NBA. I know a limited sample size last year, but he averaged 21 on 40% shooting from the field, 35% shooting from three. So he's shown he can be efficient when getting his points, and he also has made it very clear in his year and a half or 2 seasons with the Hornets that he can help the guys around him play as well. They can feed off him. He doesn't have to go and get it every single time. He's a good playmaker as well. So there's a lot to like about Brandon Miller and his game. And I think it's even going to increase even more this year when he's going to be a little more free on offense with the additions that the Hornets have made. Colin Sexton, Con Knipple, Spencer Dinwiddie, guys who can score the basketball. It's going to have to the defense is going to have to pay a little bit more attention to. Going to free up both him and LaMelo Ball, but specifically Brandon Miller should have some more room to maneuver and to work out there on the offensive end, as the Hornets do have more weapons now. Brandon Miller has also shown himself to be an above-average defender at his position. He obviously still has room for improvement just 2 years in and continuing to develop and get better, but he has been a bright spot at that end of the floor since arriving in Charlotte. His numbers should only improve in going into year 3 as his health comes back. He recovers from the wrist injury, and he's got more weapons around him, as I mentioned. Now Brandon Miller can take this. He can use this ranking, much like Miles Bridges and LaMelo Ball are able to do with some of the unfortunate titles they've been given this summer. Brandon Miller can now take this ranking and move forward into the 25-26 season with a little extra piece of motivation. Again, not that NBA players really pay much attention to this kind of stuff or need this for motivation, but if Brandon Miller does happen to see this list, see this ranking, it is just a piece of bulletin board material. get it back on track to where he's comfortable with having it and making the Hornets a much better defensive team going forward in the NBA. Now, we know this offseason has come with some ups and some downs, some differing opinions from different writers, different experts, different analysts, different insiders, whatever adjective you want to use to describe the people talking about the Hornets offseason. It appears there are some folks torn about their overall opinions of what the Hornets have done this season. We've seen several guys praising the Hornets, several guys criticizing the Hornets, all of which have been centered around the lack of center position. No real major critiques outside of that, but the Hornets not getting that 5 has been the main reason for a lot of people continuing to be down on their offseason and their hopes going into the regular season. That is not the case, however, for David Aldridge over at the Athletic. He shared on the website another ranking, so don't get too upset about that, but we're going to discuss this one in a little bit different of a form. I don't want to advertise too much that it is a ranking system, but David Aldridge did rank off-season performances, and he put the Charlotte Hornets as his 6th best off-season performance, a top 10 ranking for Charlotte. So something to be excited about there. Some high praise from a very senior ESPN analyst, the face we're all used to seeing on the sidelines doing some reporting. And I'm sure we've all read David's writing as well. So some high praise from another NBA expert, another NBA analyst. That is a good sign. Some good news for the Hornets. In his offseason ranking performance, he's got him ranked at 6th out of the top 10. Aldridge went on to compliment the additions of Colin Sexton and Spencer Dinwiddie, much like we were just talking about in the last segment. He said that should take some weight off LaMelo and Brandon Miller's shoulders. It should free up some space on the offensive side of the floor and bring just some more scoring overall, some better shooting to the Hornets with just those two guys. Aldridge also said that there's no reason those two can't play alongside LaMelo, maybe not all three at the same time per se, but LaMelo and Colin Sexton, LaMelo and Spencer Dinwiddie should be able to coexist on the floor at the same time, while also allowing for those two guys to give LaMelo a rest, give him some time, and if for some reason he is to go down and have to miss some minutes, there's plenty of production to fill that role out of Colin Sexton and Spencer Dinwiddie, even guys like Pat Connaughton, Con Knipple as well. Aldridge did say that Con Knipple should be a very good fit with LaMelo Ball, with Colin Sexton, with Spencer Dinwiddie. The style of game he plays fits nicely with the style of game those guys play, as Knipple is a playmaker first. They can score later and can be productive without the ball in his hands. Doesn't have to have it every time. That should benefit the Hornets going forward as well. Aldridge also had very good things to say about the potential starting rotation for the Hornets. He said there's a lot of talent in that rotation, a lot of promise and optimism going forward surrounding the young core of the Hornets if they can keep, of course, LaMelo Ball healthy, Brandon Miller healthy, Miles Bridges take maybe a step forward and just work on his efficiency and his shooting percentage, get it back to where it was in the 2020-2021 season. If all of those things can happen, Con Knipple fills a nice role, Colin Sexton, Ryan Kalkbrenner, Moussa Diabate. If all of those things can kind of fall into place, Aldridge says he is optimistic about the Hornets' chances of improving this season and maybe even working their way again into the much-mentioned play-in or playoff spot for the Hornets. Aldridge was speaking highly of the, quote, diversifying the attack around Miller and Ball this summer for the Hornets. Again, just some more of those offensive additions that have been brought in to kind of give that a bit of an uptick, increase the offensive performance, the shooting percentage, as well as the defensive end of the floor with guys like Sion James and Ryan Kalkbrenner. So some high praise, some good praise, a good sign as the Hornets are starting to get realized. Jeff Peterson, again, continuing to get some of his flowers that he has deserved this offseason for the moves he's made in the reshaping of the roster he's been able to do, despite not going out and getting that flashy name, that big superstar free agent on the inside. The Hornets have still done enough to get praise, to get some excitement from different guys around the league and insiders. Now, we mentioned Now, we mentioned the return of Grant Williams and his impact and what that's going to be when he does get back to the Hornets this season. Will he have an impact? We've seen all the videos. We've talked about him here on the show of him getting back in the gym, working out. But we also know he won't be in a Hornets uniform on opening night, and realistically, not until after Christmas. But what kind of impact will he have when he finally does return? I think it's very obvious that Charlotte will instantly become a better defensive team upon the return of Grant Williams. And when he gets back, it'll be a much improved end of the floor for Charlotte, as Williams is able to play to guard down at the 3 position. He can guard the 4, and even if need be, when the other team has a bit of a smaller lineup, Williams can guard up to the 5. So that'll be a big step forward when he gets back, that the defense is going to get better. Williams also adds another long-range threat off the bench offensively. He can shoot the ball from beyond the arc, so that's just another guy the defense is going to have to worry about when he is on the floor. I believe, however, that Williams can make a bigger impact outside of the stat sheet. He's an undeniable leader in the locker room, and the Hornets definitely are still in need of guys like that, despite bringing in veterans like Colin Sexton, Spencer Dinwiddie, Pat Connaughton, Mason Plumlee. Grant Williams, while it hasn't been a long stay, he's been in the locker room at least since last year. Despite, I know he only played 16 games, but he's been around the guys. He's been around the team. He's had much more of a chance than the rest of the new guys to develop and build a relationship with his teammates. So I think that leader, that in his voice in that regard, his leadership ability in that regard is just a little bit further beyond the older guys and the veterans that the Hornets have brought in. So I think that's going to be a big way in which Grant Williams can make an impact outside of the stat sheet. Also, what goes unrecognized is he is much more of an extension of Charles Lee on the floor than people may think or give him credit for. Williams can kind of play that coach on the floor role, especially on the defensive end. He is a very smart defensive player. He can tell guys where to get, what position they need to be in, and help keep guys on the right track on that end of the floor, making them better at defense, not just himself as well. Yes, there have been other vets added, as we said, but again, that relationship that Williams has been able to build with some of his returning teammates while already being in the building, not to mention being a Charlotte native, just having that little bit of extra love and passion for the city because it is somewhere he's from, that helps as well. He's also another piece that can help further open the floor for LaMelo and Brandon Miller. Like we've talked about earlier in the show, he's one of the guys who can help spread things out, as the defense does have to pay attention to him when he gets on the perimeter, when he gets the ball in his hand. He's not a slouch on the offensive side of the ball, so it's certainly someone. He's certainly someone that can help open the floor up for guys like Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, or maybe even Con Knippel and Liam McNeely, since by the time Grant Williams comes back, we'll have a much better understanding of who both of those guys are as NBA players, because it, again, won't be before Christmas. It'll probably be closer to New Year's when we get Grant Williams back, so we'll know a little bit more about the rookies and how he can help them in their game as well. If around this time of the year when Grant Williams is getting ready to come back, the Hornets find themselves in position to be trying to make that play-in spot, trying to make the playoffs in general, if the Hornets find themselves sitting in that position, then getting Grant Williams back, getting a guy who brings that sense of leadership, that defensive presence, as well as a good offensive ability, getting a guy like that back could potentially give the Hornets the last little bit of incentive they need, a last little bit of advantage, the last little bit of offensive and defensive abilities that they need to push themselves into that play-in position, push themselves into that playoff spot, and continue to crawl and climb themselves out of the basement that is the Eastern Conference. That's going to be something we'll have to watch and wait on as the regular season gets here and unfolds. And that's something we'll keep you up to date all about as we continue to find out about Grant Williams' injury recovery and his return timetable. You know, we'll bring it all to you here on Hornets Daily. That's going to do it for the show today, folks. As always, want to thank everyone for watching along with us joining along out there. If you haven't already, smash that subscribe button. Please leave a like and a comment down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think about what's going on in the show today. How disrespectful was that Brandon Miller ranking as the 21st out of 26 small forwards in the NBA? Is Grant Williams going to make an impact at all when he returns? Let me know what you guys think. And again, we'll see you right back here tomorrow for a brand new episode of Hornets Daily.